The iron grip of Novokuznetsk. The industrial sprawl of Novokuznetsk hums with the relentless clang of steel forges and the deep, guttural roar of coal mines under a smog-choked sky in the sweltering summer of 1994, a city where Soviet dreams of athletic glory have crumbled into a sinister underworld of crime. Once a breeding ground for champions, where wrestlers like Vladimir Lobotsky dominated with iron fists, Novokuznetsk, now dubbed the Siberian Chicago, is a battleground where former athletes trade their medals for menace, their strength and discipline forged in gyms now wielded as weapons on the streets. Lobotsky, a 1986 USSR wrestling champion, leads a gang born from the ashes of Soviet sports, exploiting the economic chaos of the 1990s to build a criminal empire that chokes the city in fear. They manipulate bartering scams at the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant, forcing workers to trade their wages, TVs and VCRs, for a pittance, while extorting markets, shops, and restaurants with hatchets as their chilling calling card, a brutal reminder of the consequences of defiance. On July 21, 1994, a deafening explosion rocks Moscow's Leninsky Prospect, leaving Lobotsky's body in ruins, a bomb strapped to his chest, a death that defies the label of suicide, sparking a chilling mystery. Days later, another athlete is found shot in a Moscow bathroom, followed by two more bodies wrapped in marked bedsheets on a desolate wasteland, their pasts all tied to the same Siberian city of Novokuznetsk, where the gang's roots run deep. 5 chapters unravel this harrowing saga, tracing the gang's rise from the coal-dusted factories of Novokuznetsk to the neon-lit underworld of Moscow, where they clashed with notorious groups like the Solntsevskaya Bratva and even targeted thieves-in-law in a ruthless bid for power. Detectives uncover a web of betrayal, from the bartered goods that fueled their early schemes to the haunting home videos that reveal a chilling internal conspiracy, exposing the gang's inner workings and Lobotsky's shocking demise. As Igor Shkabara Barabin seizes control after his mentor's death, a simultaneous raid in Moscow and Novokuznetsk looms, threatening to dismantle this empire of fallen champions, or will the iron grip of Siberian Chicago tighten further, claiming more lives in its merciless hold? Chapter 1: The Fall of Champions. In the steel heart of Novokuznetsk, Soviet sports forged champions like Vladimir Lobotsky, but what turned their glory into a reign of terror that shook the city to its core? The air in Novokuznetsk smells of coal dust and molten steel on a crisp spring morning in 1991, a gritty tang that clings to the patched coats of workers trudging toward the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant, their faces etched with the exhaustion of a city that's been running on fumes for decades. The plant's towering smokestacks loom like sentinels, belching black plumes into a sky that hasn't seen blue in years, a constant reminder of Novokuznetsk's role as the Soviet Union's industrial backbone, 700,000 souls laboring to churn out steel and coal for a nation that once promised them a radiant future. But that promise has crumbled, the Soviet Union's collapse leaving the city adrift in a sea of uncertainty, its factories faltering, its workers unpaid, their dreams replaced by a new, brutal reality. In the shadow of the plant, a wrestling gym stands as a relic of better days, its walls plastered with faded posters of champions, their medals glinting in grainy photographs, their names a whisper of pride in a city that's forgotten how to hope. Vladimir Lobotsky, a 1986 USSR wrestling champion, once trained here, his name etched into the lore of Novokuznetsk's sporting legacy, but now, he's building a different kind of empire, one forged in fear. What turned a champion into a criminal? The workers whisper, their voices low as they pass the gym, the air thick with the scent of sweat and despair. And how many will fall before he's stopped? A city built on sweat and steel. Novokuznetsk in 1991 is a city built on sweat and steel, its identity forged in the fires of Soviet industry, its people hardened by decades of labor in the coal mines and steelworks that made it the largest center of metallurgy in the USSR. The air is heavy with the hum of machinery, the ground trembling with the rhythm of production, and the city smells of ash and iron, a testament to the 700,000 residents who've toiled for over half a century, believing their work would usher in a socialist utopia. The Soviet state once poured resources into physical culture, ensuring its citizens were strong, healthy, and ready to build the future, and Novokuznetsk was a crown jewel in that vision, its athletes, wrestlers, boxers, weightlifters, celebrated as heroes of the proletariat. Wrestling gyms like the one on Metallurgov Avenue were hallowed grounds, where young men like Lobotsky honed their bodies into weapons, their victories on the mat a symbol of Soviet supremacy, their medals proof of socialism's triumph. But the 1990s have shattered that illusion, the collapse of the USSR unleashing a wave of economic chaos that's left the city reeling, its factories on the brink, its workers trading their wages for TVs and VCRs in a desperate bid to survive. What happens when heroes fall? The city whispers, its streets a labyrinth of despair, the 1990s decay stark in the rusted cranes and cracked pavement. And who will rise in their place? Lobotsky stands at the center of this storm, a 28-year-old giant with a wrestler's build and a champion's resolve, his eyes sharp with a hunger that medals can't satisfy. In the 1980s, he was Novokuznetsk's pride, a master of freestyle wrestling who claimed the USSR championship in 1986, his name echoing through the city's gyms, his victories a beacon of hope in a gray industrial landscape. But the collapse of the Soviet system stripped him of his purpose, the state support for athletes evaporating, leaving him and his fellow champions adrift in a city where their skills, strength, agility, discipline, had no place in a crumbling economy. With no real profession to fall back on, Lobotsky turned to the only world that valued his talents, the criminal underworld, a shadow realm that welcomed his iron grip with open arms. What drove him to this darkness? The old coaches at the gym wonder, their voices low as they watch him gather his crew, the air thick with the scent of chalk and sweat. And how far will he go to reclaim his glory? The bartering empire. Lobotsky's empire begins in the shadow of the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant, where the economic collapse has turned Novokuznetsk into a city of bartering scams, its workers paid not in rubles but in goods, TVs, VCRs, radios, handed out in lieu of wages, a cruel irony in a nation that once promised equality. The plant's workers, their hands calloused from years of labor, trudge home with their pay, their faces etched with despair as they realize they can't feed their families with electronics. Lobotsky sees an opportunity in their desperation, gathering a crew of former athletes, wrestlers, boxers, weightlifters, who share his hunger, their bodies still honed, their minds sharp with the discipline of champions. They set up a network of exchange points right on the plant's grounds, buying the workers' goods for a pittance, their voices a snarl of coercion, take the deal or starve. The workers, their options dwindling, comply, their TVs sold for a fraction of their worth, the money barely enough to buy bread in a city where inflation has turned rubles into paper dreams. Lobotsky's crew then moves the goods through a web of commission shops, reselling them at triple the price, their profits a fortune in a city where wealth is a mirage. The shops, once a lifeline for Novokuznetsk's residents, are now a monopoly under Lobotsky's control, their owners trembling as his enforcers, men like Igor Shkabara Barabin, a former wrestler with a boxer's build, stand watch, their presence a silent threat, their hatchets tucked into belts as a chilling reminder of the consequences of defiance. Who will stand against them? The shopkeepers whisper, their hands trembling as they hand over their earnings, the air thick with the scent of fear and ink. And how long before their grip tightens further? The explosion on Leninskaya Prospect. By 1994, Lobotsky's empire has outgrown Novokuznetsk, its tendrils reaching into Moscow, where the gang seeks to carve out a piece of the capital's underworld, a glittering prize in a nation where crime has become the only currency that matters. But power breeds enemies, and on July 21, 1994, at noon, a deafening explosion rocks Leninskaya Prospect, a busy Moscow thoroughfare where the air smells of exhaust and rain-soaked asphalt, the ground trembling with the force of the blast. A young man's body lies in ruins, a bomb strapped to his chest, its timer a cruel betrayal that detonated too soon, leaving no chance for escape. The Moscow militia arrives, their boots crunching on shattered glass, their faces grim as they cordon off the scene, the air thick with the scent of smoke and chaos. An ID found on the body identifies him as Vladimir Lobotsky, a master of sports from Novokuznetsk, but the lack of a photo raises questions, the explosion's precision a mystery that defies the label of suicide. Who planted the bomb? The militia whispers, their hands trembling as they collect fragments of the device, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked pavement and rusted cars. And what chain of terror has this death unleashed? The next chapter will take us deeper into Moscow's shadows, where more bodies surface, a bedsheet clue points to Shkabara, and the Novokuznetsk connection tightens the noose around a gang of fallen champions. Chapter 2, The Bedsheet Clue. A bomb on Leninskaya Prospect shattered Vladimir Lobotsky's empire, but as more bodies surfaced in Moscow, what clue in a bedsheet would lead detectives to the heart of a Siberian crime wave? The Moscow skyline looms under a bruised sky on a swelteringly unbearable July evening in 1994, the air thick with the scent of exhaust and rain-soaked asphalt, the city's pulse a chaotic rhythm of honking horns and distant sirens. Leninskaya Prospect, a bustling thoroughfare, is still reeling from the explosion that claimed Vladimir Lobotsky's life on July 21, its pavement scarred by the blast, the echoes of the detonation lingering in the minds of passers-by. The Moscow militia cordons off the area, their boots crunching on shattered glass, their faces grim as they sift through the debris, the air heavy with the acrid tang of smoke and the faint hum of tension. Lobotsky's ID, a Master of Sports certificate from Novokuznetsk, lies among the wreckage, but the lack of a photo raises questions, the bomb's precision a chilling mystery that defies the label of suicide. Who wanted Lobotsky gone? The militia whispers, their hands steady as they collect fragments of the device, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked pavement and rusted cars lining the street. And what terror has his death unleashed? A city in the grip of chaos. Moscow in July 1994 is a city in the grip of chaos, its streets a labyrinth where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a tidal wave of crime that knows no bounds. The air shimmers with the heat of a relentless summer, the ground sticky with melted tar, and the city smells of desperation, sweat, exhaust, and the faint metallic tang of fear that lingers in every shadow. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits wield smuggled weapons, and the Russian police, struggling to adapt to a new era, fight a losing battle against a plague of terror. Novokuznetsk, a Siberian industrial hub 3,000 kilometers away, has sent its own brand of darkness to the capital, a gang of former athletes led by Lobotsky, their strength and discipline now tools of extortion and murder, their reach extending from the coal-dusted factories of their hometown to Moscow's neon-lit underworld. How far does their grip extend? Detective Valery Kosterev wonders, his face grim as he reviews the case file in a cramped Moscow precinct, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and ink. And how many more will fall before we stop them? Kosterev, a senior investigator with the General Prosecutor's Office, takes the lead, his team a patchwork of seasoned detectives and eager rookies, their office a cluttered mess of maps, files, and grainy photographs, the walls peeling with the damp of the Moskva River. The Leninskaya Prospect explosion is just the beginning, a spark that ignites a firestorm of violence, and Kosterev knows the clock is ticking. Days after Lobotsky's death, another body surfaces in a Moscow bathroom, a young man of athletic build, his eye pierced by a bullet, his identity a mystery as his documents are missing, likely taken by the killer to cover their tracks. The air in the apartment smells of mildew and decay, the 1990s Soviet decay stark in the cracked tiles and peeling wallpaper, the silence a haunting echo of a life snuffed out. Who is he? Kosterev wonders, his hands steady as he examines the scene, the faint hum of the city outside a constant reminder of the stakes. And what connects him to Lobotsky? The wasteland discovery. A week later, the investigation takes a grim turn when two more bodies are found on a desolate Moscow wasteland, their athletic builds a chilling echo of the bathroom victim, their deaths marked by gunshots, their forms wrapped in simple bedsheets, a shroud that hides more than it reveals. The wasteland, a forgotten patch of land near the city's outskirts, smells of damp earth and rotting garbage, the air heavy with the hum of flies, the 1990s decay stark in the rusted machinery and cracked concrete scattered around. The Moscow militia combs the scene, their faces pale as they unwrap the sheets, the fabric marked with a small laundry tag, a detail that catches Kosterev's eye, a potential clue in a case where hope is a rare commodity. What story do these sheets tell? Kosterev wonders, his fingers tracing the tag, the faint hum of the city a distant echo in the wasteland's eerie silence. And who wrapped these men in their final shroud? The laundry tag becomes the investigation's lifeline, a thread that Kosterev's team follows with relentless determination, their search taking them to dozens of laundromats across Moscow's neighboring districts, their hands sifting through thousands of receipts, the air thick with the scent of detergent and ink. Days of grueling work yield a breakthrough, a receipt with a matching number, a phone number scrawled in faded ink, a lead that traces back to an apartment in a quiet Moscow block, its facade cracked, its windows dark, the 1990s decay evident in the rusted balconies and peeling paint. The apartment belongs to a young couple, recent arrivals from Novokuznetsk, their presence a chilling coincidence that ties the wasteland bodies to Lobotsky's hometown, a connection that sends a shiver down Kostarev's spine. Who are they? He wonders, his hands steady as he orders surveillance, the air thick with the scent of anticipation and dread. And what secrets do they hide? The shadow of Shkabara. The couple's apartment becomes the focal point of the investigation, around-the-clock watch revealing a young man who rarely appears, his behavior a puzzle that deepens the mystery. Each morning, he leaves the apartment, its phone line silent, only to make calls from a nearby payphone, his eyes darting as if he senses the eyes on him. Kostarev's team identifies him as Igor Shkabara Barabin, a 26-year-old former wrestler from Novokuznetsk, a man whose athletic past mirrors Lobotsky's, his presence in Moscow a chilling link to the murders. Information from Novokuznetsk confirms the connection. Lobotsky, a celebrated wrestler turned crime lord, had formed a gang with fellow athletes, including Shkabara, terrorizing their hometown for years before vanishing to Moscow, their disappearance a mystery that left local police grasping at shadows. What brought them to Moscow? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews surveillance footage, Shkabara's grainy image a haunting echo of Lobotsky's legacy. And who's hunting them now? The investigation splits into two fronts, one team staying in Moscow to shadow Shkabara, the other heading to Novokuznetsk to uncover the gang's origins, their dual mission a race against time to unravel a web of crime that stretches across 3,000 kilometers. The bedsheet clue has opened a door, but the shadows of Novokuznetsk loom large, their grip tightening with each new revelation, each new body a reminder of the stakes. The next chapter will take us to the coal-dusted streets of Novokuznetsk, where the gang's reign of terror began, and a chilling discovery of home videos will reveal a conspiracy that threatens to consume them all. Chapter 3, The Siberian Chicago Unmasked. In the coal-dusted streets of Novokuznetsk, detectives hunted for the roots of a criminal empire, but what chilling secrets would they uncover in the shadows of a city dubbed the Siberian Chicago? The coal-dusted streets of Novokuznetsk shimmer with the heat of a relentless July sun in 1994, the air thick with the acrid tang of soot and the distant rumble of machinery from the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant, a city where the promise of Soviet glory has crumbled into a cauldron of crime. The plant's towering smokestacks loom like dark sentinels, casting long shadows over a landscape scarred by decades of industry, the 1990s decay evident in the rusted cranes and cracked pavement that line the streets. Novokuznetsk, once a bastion of athletic champions, is now a battleground dubbed the Siberian Chicago, its 700,000 residents gripped by fear as a gang of former athletes, led by the late Vladimir Lobotsky, has turned their strength into a weapon of terror. Detective Valery Kostarev's team arrives from Moscow, their Volgas kicking up dust as they navigate the city's labyrinth, their faces grim with the weight of a case that's already claimed 4 lives in the capital. Lobotsky, killed by a bomb on Leninskaya Prospect, another athlete shot in a bathroom, and 2 more found wrapped in marked bedsheets on a Moscow wasteland. What secrets does this city hold? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews the case file in a cramped Novokuznetsk precinct, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and coal dust. And how deep does Lobotsky's empire run? A city paralyzed by fear. Novokuznetsk in 1994 is a city paralyzed by fear, its industrial heart still beating but its soul hollowed out by the economic chaos of the 1990s. The air hums with the rhythm of production, the ground trembling with the weight of coal trucks, and the city smells of ash and despair, a testament to the workers who've toiled for over half a century, believing their labor would build a socialist utopia, only to see it crumble into a free-for-all of market reforms and crime. The collapse of the Soviet Union has unleashed a wave of free entrepreneurship, turning Novokuznetsk into a magnet for new money, businessmen flooding in to exploit its coal and steel, their wealth a beacon for criminal structures that thrive in the shadows. Lobotsky's gang, a brotherhood of former athletes, has seized the moment, their athletic discipline now a tool for extortion, their presence a dark cloud over the city's markets, shops, and restaurants, where traders whisper of their brutal tactics, their voices low with fear. Who will stand against them? The traders murmur, their hands trembling as they count their meager earnings, the air thick with the scent of ink and despair. And how many more will fall before they're stopped? Kostarev's team, led by the seasoned investigator, sets up in a Novokuznetsk precinct, a crumbling Soviet-era building where the walls peel with the damp of the Ob River, the air heavy with the hum of tension. The Moscow murders have led them here, the bedsheet clue pointing to Igor Shkabara Barabin, a 26-year-old former wrestler and Lobotsky's right-hand man, whose apartment in Moscow is now under surveillance. But to dismantle the gang, Kostarev needs to understand its roots, to uncover the tactics that turned Novokuznetsk into a crucible of crime. The team hits the streets, their Volgas weaving through the city's industrial sprawl, their questions met with silence, the fear in the eyes of locals a chilling testament to the gang's grip. What are they hiding? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he knocks on the door of a small bar, the air thick with the scent of vodka and cigarette smoke. And how do we break their silence? The hatchet's shadow. The investigation takes a dark turn as Kostarev's team uncovers the gang's extortion tactics, their methods a brutal blend of athletic precision and criminal ingenuity. At the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant, where workers once received TVs and VCRs in lieu of wages, Lobotsky's crew had set up a bartering empire, buying the goods for a pittance and reselling them at triple the price through commission shops, their profits a fortune in a city where wealth is a mirage. But as the era of bartering faded, the gang turned to more traditional methods, rackets that gripped Novokuznetsk's markets, shops, and restaurants, their enforcers a constant presence, their demands a death sentence for those who resisted. Traders whisper of a chilling tool, hatchets, the gang's signature weapon, used to intimidate those who dared to defy them, their blades glinting in the dim light of backrooms, a silent promise of retribution for late payments, no delays, no discounts, no mercy. Kostarev's team interviews reluctant witnesses, their voices low, their eyes darting as they recount the gang's reign, the air thick with the scent of fear and ink. One trader, his hands trembling as he speaks, reveals a rumor of a man who lost a leg to the gang's hatchets, his defiance ending in a cruel gift, an invalid car, a mocking reward for compliance. The team uncovers evidence of a past raid by local police, a briefcase abandoned by a fleeing enforcer, its contents a chilling testament to the gang's methods, tourist hatchets, their handles worn, their blades sharp, a tool of terror that left Novokuznetsk's traders in a state of constant dread. How many more have suffered in silence? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he examines the hatchets, the air thick with the scent of steel and fear. And what else are they hiding? The home video conspiracy. The investigation takes a chilling turn when Kostarev's team conducts raids on addresses linked to the gang, their searches yielding a trove of evidence that paints a haunting picture of betrayal. In one apartment, amid gold crosses and chains, symbols of criminal prestige, the team finds an unexpected discovery, a sawed-off hunting rifle, its barrel glinting in the dim light, and a stack of VHS tapes, their labels innocuous Hollywood titles that belie their sinister contents. The air in the apartment smells of dust and mildew, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked walls and faded curtains, the silence a haunting echo of secrets waiting to be uncovered. What do these tapes hold? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he loads one into a borrowed VCR, the faint hum of the city outside a distant echo in the room's eerie stillness. And who were they meant for? The tapes reveal a conspiracy that chills Kostarev to the core, grainy footage shot on a shaky camcorder, capturing the gang's inner workings, their operations a masterclass in criminal precision. One tape shows a weapons exchange, couriers handing off rifles to gang members in a dimly lit Novokuznetsk alley, their faces obscured, their movements coordinated with the discipline of athletes, a silent testament to the gang's internal, secret police, a faction that filmed its own to gather compromising evidence, or perhaps to spy on rivals within. Another tape captures a conversation between Shkabara and Sergei Nezdik, their voices a low growl of conspiracy as they discuss eliminating Lobotsky, their words a death sentence that echoes through the grainy footage, "We'll take him out, and then we'll run the show." Who betrayed whom? Kostarev wonders, his hands trembling as the tape ends, the air thick with the scent of betrayal and dread. And how many more will fall before this conspiracy unravels? The next chapter will take us deeper into Moscow's underworld, where the gang's expansion clashes with notorious crime groups, and high-profile murders reveal the true extent of their ambition, setting the stage for Shkabara's final betrayal. Chapter 4, Moscow's Underworld Inferno. In the neon-lit underbelly of Moscow, a Siberian gang of fallen champions clashed with the city's most notorious crime lords, but what drove them to target thieves-in-law, and how would their betrayal ignite a deadly inferno? The neon glow of Moscow's Arbat Street cuts through the humid haze of an August night in 1994, the air thick with the scent of cigarette smoke, cheap vodka, and the faint tang of rain-soaked asphalt, a city where the Soviet Union's collapse has turned every shadow into a battleground for power. Beneath the flickering signs of casinos, bars, and underground clubs, the underworld hums with a dangerous energy, a labyrinth of deals and debts where loyalty is a currency more volatile than the ruble. Novokuznetsk's gang, a brotherhood of former athletes led by the late Vladimir Lobotsky, has arrived to carve out their piece of this glittering chaos, their athletic discipline now a weapon in a city that respects only strength. Igor Shkabara Barabin, a 26-year-old wrestler with a boxer's build, stands at the helm after Lobotsky's explosive demise on Leninskaya Prospect, his eyes sharp with ambition, his hands steady as he navigates Moscow's treacherous landscape, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked pavement and rusted streetlights that line the Arbat. What drives Shkabara to challenge Moscow's giants? Detective Valery Kostyrev wonders, his face grim as he reviews surveillance reports in a Moscow precinct, the air thick with the scent of stale coffee and ink. And how many will fall in this inferno of ambition? Moscow's underworld crucible. Moscow in August 1994 is a crucible of crime, its streets a chaotic tapestry where the Soviet Union's collapse has unleashed a tidal wave of violence that knows no bounds. The air shimmers with the heat of a relentless summer, the ground sticky with melted tar, and the city smells of desperation, sweat, exhaust, and the faint metallic tang of fear that lingers in every alley. The 1990s have turned Moscow into a war zone, where organized crime outpaces the law, bandits wield smuggled weapons, and the Russian police struggle to adapt to a new era of lawlessness. Novokuznetsk's gang, a group of former athletes who once dominated wrestling mats and boxing rings, has brought their Siberian ruthlessness to the capital, their strength and discipline a stark contrast to the chaotic greed of Moscow's underworld. They've already made their mark, their bartering scams and extortion rackets in Novokuznetsk a blueprint for their Moscow ambitions, their hatchets a chilling symbol of their power, used to intimidate traders and shopkeepers into submission. Shkabara, now the gang's leader after Lobotsky's death, stands at the center of this storm, his wrestler's physique a testament to his past, his mind a labyrinth of ambition and paranoia. The Leninskaya Prospect explosion, which claimed Lobotsky, was no accident. Home videos uncovered in Novokuznetsk reveal Shkabara's role in a chilling conspiracy, his voice a low growl as he plotted with Sergei Nezdik to eliminate their leader, their words a death sentence that cost Lobotsky his life. But Shkabara's rise to power comes at a cost, the gang's expansion into Moscow drawing the attention of the city's most notorious crime groups, the Solntsevskaya Bratva and the Loboretskaya Bratva, syndicates that have ruled Moscow's underworld for years, their influence a shadow that stretches across the capital's casinos, bars, and markets. How will Shkabara challenge these giants? Kostyrev's team whispers, their hands steady as they review grainy surveillance footage of Shkabara entering a Moscow casino, the air thick with the scent of anticipation and dread. And what price will he pay for his ambition? Clashes with Moscow's titans. The gang's arrival in Moscow is a declaration of war, their Siberian ruthlessness a challenge to the established order, their targets as audacious as they are dangerous. They begin with the city's casinos, their enforcers storming into neon-lit dens where the air smells of cigar smoke and desperation, their voices a snarl of demands as they force owners to pay protection fees, their hatchets glinting in the dim light as a silent threat. The Solntsevskaya Bratva, a syndicate known for its iron grip on Moscow's gambling scene, takes notice, their leaders, men with scars that tell stories of survival, watching from the shadows, their eyes sharp with calculation, their hands steady as they weigh the cost of confrontation. The Loboretskaya Bratva, a rival group with a reputation for brutality, also stirs, their enforcers clashing with Shkabara's crew in back alleys, their fists a storm of defiance, the air thick with the scent of sweat and vodka, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked pavement and rusted pipes that line the streets. But Shkabara's ambition knows no bounds, his gang targeting not just businesses but the very hierarchy of Moscow's underworld, thieves-in-law, the elite caste of criminals whose authority has ruled Russia's criminal world for decades. These men, with their tattoos and codes of honor, are untouchable, their power a shadow that stretches across the city, but Shkabara sees them as obstacles, their influence a prize to be claimed. The gang's enforcers strike with ruthless precision, their attacks a declaration of war that sends shockwaves through Moscow's underworld, the air thick with the scent of fear and cigar smoke as the thieves-in-law convene in secret, their voices a low growl of retribution, their hands steady as they plan their response. Who will survive this clash of titans? Kostyrev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews reports of the escalating violence, the air thick with the scent of ink and dread. And what new terror will Shkabara unleash? High-profile murders. The gang's audacity reaches a deadly peak with a series of high-profile murders that shake Moscow to its core, their targets a chilling testament to their ambition. Yuri Sipenkov, the chairman of Russia's Kickboxing Federation and a Novokuznetsk native, becomes one of their first victims, his life snuffed out in a Moscow alley, the air thick with the scent of rain and cigar smoke, his body left in the shadows, a Makarov pistol glinting nearby, a silent testament to the gang's reach. Sipenkov, a former athlete turned respected figure, had crossed paths with Lobotsky in their hometown, their shared past a bitter irony in a city where glory turns to terror, his death a message to Moscow's elite, no one is safe. The gang's ambition grows, their sights set on the Kvantrishvili brothers, Otar and Amarin, famous Moscow crime bosses with a sporting past, their influence a shadow that stretches across the city's casinos and bars, their names whispered with fear and respect. The brothers, known for their wrestling prowess in the 1980s, have ruled Moscow's underworld for years, their tattoos marking them as thieves-in-law, their power a fortress that Shkabara seeks to topple. The gang strikes with ruthless precision, their enforcers cornering the brothers in a Moscow bar, the air thick with the scent of vodka and cigarette smoke, their Makarovs glinting as they close in, the brothers' faces pale with shock as they realize the end is near, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked barstools and flickering neon signs. Who ordered their deaths? Kostyrev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews the case file, the air thick with the scent of ink and dread. And what legacy will their fall leave behind? Shkabara's betrayal plot. The murders are a spark that ignites a firestorm, but within the gang, a darker conspiracy brews, one that threatens to consume them all. Shkabara, his ambition a wildfire, seeks to cement his power, his betrayal of Lobotsky a stepping stone to greater control, his eyes sharp with a hunger that knows no bounds. The home videos uncovered in Novokuznetsk, grainy footage of weapons exchanges and whispered conspiracies, reveal his plan, his voice a low growl as he plots with Sergei Nezdik to eliminate their leader, their words a death sentence that cost Lobotsky his life. But Shkabara's paranoia grows, his mistrust of his own crew a shadow that haunts him, the air thick with the scent of betrayal and cigar smoke as he watches his enforcers, their faces a gallery of ambition and fear, their hands steady as they await his next command. Shkabara's plot deepens, his enforcers tasked with eliminating those loyal to Lobotsky, their targets a list of names that grows with each passing day, their deaths a silent purge that tightens his grip on the gang. The air in Moscow's underworld hums with tension, the Solntsevskaya Bratva and Loboretskaya Bratva closing in, their enforcers a storm of retribution, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked pavement and rusted pipes that line the city's alleys. How long can Shkabara hold on? Kostyrev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews the latest surveillance footage, Shkabara's grainy image a haunting echo of Lobotsky's legacy. And what final betrayal will bring this empire down? The next chapter will take us to the simultaneous raids in Moscow and Novokuznetsk, where Kostyrev's team moves to dismantle the gang, arresting Shkabara and his crew, and reflecting on the legacy of a city that turned champions into criminals. Chapter 5, The Reckoning of Siberian Chicago. Hook, in a synchronized storm across Moscow and Novokuznetsk, detectives moved to dismantle a gang of fallen champions, but as Shkabara faced justice, what haunting legacy would the Siberian Chicago leave behind? The dawn breaks over Moscow with a fiery orange glow on a stormy September morning in 1994, the Moskva River shimmering like molten gold under a sky bruised with thunderclouds, the air thick with the scent of rain-soaked asphalt and the electric hum of a city on the brink of reckoning. In Novokuznetsk, 3,000 kilometers away, The coal-dusted streets stir with the same restless energy, the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant smokestacks casting long shadows over a city that's been choking under the iron grip of a criminal empire for years. The gang of former athletes, once led by wrestling champion Vladimir Lobotsky and now by his betrayer Igor Shkabara Barabin, has terrorized both cities, extorting markets with hatchets, bartering factory goods for profit, and murdering anyone who dared to resist, from Novokuznetsk traders to Moscow's thieves-in-law. Detective Valery Kostarev stands at the heart of this storm, his face etched with the weight of a case that's haunted him for months, the air in his Moscow precinct heavy with the scent of stale coffee, ink, and a faint hum of anticipation as his team prepares for a synchronized operation that will strike both cities at once. Can we finally break their grip? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews the raid plans, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked walls and flickering fluorescent lights of the precinct. Or will the Siberian Chicago claim us all in its fiery end? A dual city siege. Moscow and Novokuznetsk are worlds apart, yet on this September morning, they are united by a single purpose, a simultaneous raid to dismantle the gang that has turned champions into criminals, their athletic prowess now a weapon of terror. In Moscow, the Arbat Street precinct buzzes with a frenetic energy, the air thick with the scent of gun oil and sweat as Kostarev's team gears up, their Makarovs glinting in the dim light, their tactical vests a stark contrast to the faded Soviet-era posters on the walls. Surveillance footage has mapped out the gang's hideouts, safe houses, casinos, and bars scattered across the city, each one a fortress of crime where Shkabara's enforcers hold court, their presence a shadow that stretches across Moscow's underworld. Kostarev's team coordinates with the Moscow Organized Crime Unit, a specialized force formed to combat the city's crime wave, their radios crackling with updates, their voices a low hum of determination as they prepare to strike, the 1990s decay evident in the rusted vans and cracked pavement outside. In Novokuznetsk, a parallel operation unfolds, the local organized crime unit moving with the same precision, their Volgas weaving through the city's industrial sprawl, the air heavy with the scent of coal dust and the distant rumble of machinery. The home videos uncovered in Chapter 3, grainy footage of weapons exchanges and whispered conspiracies, have revealed the gang's inner workings, their safe houses identified, their members' faces now burned into the detectives' minds, the 1990s decay stark in the rusted cranes and cracked pavement that line the streets. The operation is a logistical nightmare, requiring perfect synchronization to prevent the gang from warning each other, each team a cog in a machine that must strike as one, their movements a ballet of precision in a city that's been paralyzed by fear for years. Will they scatter like shadows? Kostarev's Novokuznetsk counterpart, Detective Ivan Morozov, wonders, his hands steady as he adjusts his vest, the air thick with the scent of anticipation and coal dust. Or will they fight to their last breath? The raids ignite. At 5 a.m., the raids ignite with a thunderous roar, the Moscow team breaching a safe house on the Arbat, their battering rams splintering the door, their shouts echoing through the neon-lit dawn, police. Hands up. The air inside smells of cigar smoke and vodka, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked walls and faded curtains, the gang's enforcers caught off guard, their Makarovs glinting as they scramble for cover, their faces pale with shock as the team storms in, their vests a shield against the chaos. Shkabara, the gang's leader, is in the back room, his wrestler's physique a stark contrast to the trembling fear in his eyes, his hands steady as he reaches for a hidden pistol, but the team is faster, their Makarovs trained on him, their voices a roar of commands, drop it. Now. Shkabara freezes, his weapon clattering to the floor, his face a mask of defiance as he's cuffed, the air thick with the scent of sweat and cigar smoke, the 1990s decay a haunting backdrop to his fall. In Novokuznetsk, Morozov's team breaches a warehouse near the metallurgical plant, the air heavy with the scent of coal dust and oil, the 1990s decay stark in the rusted machinery and cracked concrete that line the space. The gang's enforcers are caught mid-deal, their hatchets glinting on a table, a shipment of smuggled weapons, rifles, pistols, grenades, stacked in crates, their faces pale with shock as the team storms in, their shouts echoing through the cavernous space, on the ground. Now. The enforcers comply, their hands raised, their weapons untouched, the air thick with the scent of fear and oil, the 1990s decay a silent witness to their downfall. Across both cities, over 30 gang members are arrested, their empire crumbling in a matter of hours, their reign of terror brought to a shattering end, the air thick with the scent of rain and gunpowder as the dawn breaks over a new day. The arsenal of a fallen empire. The aftermath is a storm of evidence, the Moscow and Novokuznetsk teams cataloging an arsenal that could arm a small army, rifles, pistols, grenades, and more, their metal glinting in the harsh fluorescent light of the precincts, the 1990s decay stark in the cracked floors and flickering bulbs that illuminate the hall. It takes weeks to inventory the weapons, the air thick with the scent of steel and ink as Kostarev's team works tirelessly, their hands steady as they document each piece, their voices a low hum of exhaustion and triumph. The gang's reach is staggering, their operations a web that stretches from Novokuznetsk's factories to Moscow's casinos, their hatchets a chilling symbol of their power, used to intimidate traitors into submission, their home videos a haunting testament to their internal betrayal, Shkabara's plot to eliminate Lobotsky a spark that ignited their downfall. Shkabara remains defiant, his wrestler's physique a stark contrast to the fear in his eyes, his voice a low growl as he refuses to confess, the air thick with the scent of cigar smoke and dread as Kostarev interrogates him, their faces a gallery of resolve and defiance. "I don't understand what you want from me," Shkabara snarls, his hands steady despite the cuffs, his eyes sharp with a hunger that hasn't faded. What secrets does he still hold? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he reviews the home videos, the grainy footage a haunting echo of the gang's reign, the 1990s decay a silent witness to their fall. And how many more lives did he plan to claim? The legacy of Siberian Chicago. Novokuznetsk and Moscow stand as twin scars of the 1990s, their streets a testament to a decade that rewrote Russia's rules in chaos and crime. In Novokuznetsk, the Kuznetsky metallurgical plant hums with the rhythm of production, its workers rebuilding a city that's been paralyzed by fear for years, the air thick with the scent of coal dust and hope, the 1990s decay fading as markets stir back to life, their traders whispering of a new dawn, their voices a low hum of resilience. In Moscow, the Arbat street casinos glow under a neon sky, their owners reclaiming their businesses, the air thick with the scent of vodka and cigar smoke, the 1990s decay a fading memory as the city breathes a tentative sigh of relief. But the legacy of Siberian Chicago lingers, a haunting echo of a time when champions turned to crime, their strength a weapon that terrorized two cities, their hatchets a symbol of a fear that refuses to fade. Lobotsky's grave lies in a Moscow cemetery, a stone's throw from the Kvantrishvili brothers, their sporting pasts a bitter irony in a city that buries its heroes and villains side by side, the air thick with the scent of rain and earth, the 1990s decay a silent witness to their fall. Shkabara and his 39 accomplices await trial, their fate a question mark that hangs over Moscow, the air thick with the scent of justice and dread. Will the courts break the cycle of terror? Kostarev wonders, his hands steady as he closes the case file, the weight of the decade a burden he can't shake. Or will the iron grip of Novokuznetsk rise again, a shadow that refuses to die?
Don't scroll past. Hit like and subscribe if you're ready for the next twisted story.